Windows are open. Notes are taken. I am prepared. It's that time of year. It is time for the mid-year book Freakout tag. I am copying the list of questions that I know that Literature Science Alliance does, and I know that she mentioned that like she couldn't, like the original video is now unlisted, and then there are some more questions that she does that she had seen someone add on to it. So that I'm doing, what I have is a total of 15 questions, and I will have those questions listed down below. Question number 1. What is the best book you have read so far? I can never pick just one. I can never pick just one. Familiar territory here. So 2 of these books I don't have physical copies of. One is still The Golem and the Genie. I read this fairly early on in the year, and it's just still feels like super lovely and super comfortable, and something that I feel like I am going to be drawn to reread many times in the future. I also really enjoy, I just finished reading an arc of the Final Strife, which I need to do my NetGalley review for that. But when does that one come out? It comes out June 21st. I'm not quite sure when this video is going up. It might be out by the time this video is going up, but it'll be like freshly out. But yeah, that one was such a surprise, and I'm so I'm just like, I'm almost kind of bummed that I've read it before it even came out, which means I have even longer to wait until book 2. I think it's going to be a trilogy. But yes, I will be watching this author's career and the future books in that series with great interest. And then one of my favorite nonfictions that I've read all year, one of my most anticipated releases, Fearlessly Different, An Autistic Actor's Journey to Broadway's Biggest Stage by Mickey Rowe. This one just kind of sits at the top of my feelings because, like I've said in previous wrap-ups, I do know Mickey personally. Like, we're not close, but we run in similar circles. So there's just also like an element of like pride and happiness at like his success with this book. I know like Lin-Manuel Miranda like put this on like a list of theater books or something that he was promoting. So yeah, this is fantastic. It's a mix of memoir and like disability and a call to disability justice, specifically through his lens as an autistic person and as a low vision person who is legally blind. But yes, this one is also fantastic, and I've seen like, I see someone talk about it here and there, but it's maybe just because like nonfiction doesn't get like as much attention as a lot of the fiction that I read, but don't be like turned off from the specificity of the blurb. Like, this is just like a fantastic piece of nonfiction all around. Question number 2. What do you think is the best what is the best sequel that you have read so far? I think, well, I did finish off the Greenbone Saga. Jade Legacy, of course, like is a fantastic conclusion to that trilogy. And I also have to mention Door of Bruises, which is part of the Thornchapel erotic paranormal-ish romance series. Like, it's I don't know if it's technically categorized as a romance, because at least like the first 3 books in this series don't have a happy ever after. Technically the end of book 4 does, but there was just something about like that last book that just really did feel like a wonderful culmination of all the relationships and all the spooky stuff and like all the things that had been building in the series. And it just, you know, as a conclusion, as a sequel and as a conclusion to a series, like, it was fantastic. What are some new releases you have acquired but have not yet read? I still have not gotten around to reading Bitter. And then this is a brand new acquisition, so it's not such a big deal that I haven't read it yet. But Lake Lore by Anna Marie McElmore. This I just acquired yesterday. But these are like the only published in 2022, I believe, I believe these are the only published in 2022 books. At least physical books. I might have some like ARC copy. I might have some like NetGalley copies or something, but like that doesn't really count. So there's those. Question number 4. What is your most anticipated release for the second half of the year? Babel or The Necessity of Violence. Hold on. What is the entire title of that thing? I mean, I was interested in that one, of course, because it's R.F. Kuang. And while, like, the Poppy War trilogy, like, wasn't, like, my favorite, like, they were consistently, like, runner-ups to, like, my top 10 reads of the years. I was always like, they're not, like, my top 10 in my feels, but they are some of the best written books I've ever read. So, of course, I'm excited for this author to do something new. And then I've started seeing people who are reading ARC copies of it, and they are raving about it. They're losing their minds. So I'm still so excited. So the entire title, Babel, or The Necessity of Violence, An Arcane History of the Oxford Translators' Revolution. So yeah, of all the books that I'm excited for in the second half of the year, like that one just outshines anything else I have on my list. Question number 5. What is your biggest disappointment so far? I've got like 2 I'll mention. I think the first one is Dead Witch Walking, which is the first of the Hollow series, which is a urban fantasy. It's a series that a friend of mine really loves and recommended. And just the first book really didn't age well. I didn't have a great experience with the audiobook. And like chatting with my friend, she's like, okay, the series definitely gets better. Like she hasn't gone back and like reread it from the beginning, and she's like, it's worth sticking with because I think the things that like I had problems with get explained better or presented better. So like I haven't necessarily given up on the series, but I know it's gonna be a little bit of a push for me to like be like, all right, let's check out book 2 and give it another try. I think another thing that was a disappointment was when I was trying to read The City of the Beasts in Spanish, La Ciudad de las Bestias. I actually ended up DNFing this, and it wasn't like part of it was like the reading level was just a little bit too challenging for me, but also like 2/3 of the way through the story and I was just absolutely fucking bored and not invested, which is a bummer. You know, I wasn't necessarily thinking it was going to be like 5 stars, but like it's I don't know, like I feel like I don't this year I haven't DNF'd too many things because I didn't like it or I was bored. I've DNF'd things because I was like, I'm not in the mood. This is just not the right time to read it. But I feel like I've been pretty good at like choosing things that I'm going to enjoy. So to not enjoy something to the point where it's like it's not worth me finishing it, it's a bummer. It's a bummer. Okay. Let's see. Question number 6. What is your biggest surprise? 2 of these are things I acquired through NetGalley that I don't think I'd really heard anything about before acquiring them. The first one is Ordinary Monsters, which this is a book that I am considering getting a hard copy of, but I might wait till there's a paperback version. I might wait till there's a paperback version because the hardcover is like almost $30 and it's going to be a series. So I'm like, what method of investment am I going to commit to? But this is a historical fantasy that the blurb is like Umbrella Academy meets X-Men. I also have like Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children, and like, yeah, those comparisons are apt in terms of like what kind of like the like historical London British setting and children with magical talents. And I had an audiobook copy and I really enjoy for the most part I really enjoy the audiobook narration. I thought like the setting and the writing really lent itself well to narration. I didn't really love the narrator's acting choice when narrating, excuse you, poltergeist, when narrating women and children. He just didn't really have like the vocal range that I have witnessed in other narrators that I enjoy more. But like, it didn't bother me to the point that I wouldn't listen to it again, you know? So that was one. And then the other one, I feel like maybe I heard about this book from like beautifully bookish Bethany, because I know she sometimes will like look at like go through what she has on NetGalley, and this is like the type of thing that I feel like would be on her radar. But this is My Body Is Not a Prayer Request, which is a nonfiction. Let's see, it's a disabled woman basically having like a calling out and like a calling in to her church community and to like Christian community, Christian theology as a whole, in terms of how they view and treat disabled people and disabled bodies. And like overall, like the whole book, like this is a really great like disability justice 101, but with very specific like scriptural tie-ins. So it's definitely aimed at a very specific audience. So I can definitely see like there's a whole bunch of people who will be like, scriptural tie-ins, biblical tie-ins, I'm not interested, absolutely not. And then, but also it's like, but I think in terms of her goal of like, she's trying to like give an overview of like the discrimination and ableism in our society, but also talk to a very specific audience. Like it was so successful. Like it was great. And this is another one that I'm kind of considering getting a physical copy of. Like for context, like I am not a practicing Christian, but I attended private Catholic school from kindergarten through senior year of high school. So like contextually, I kind of like understand, you know, I am familiar with a lot of the parables that she references and a lot of the imagery that she draws on. And like some of, you know, and granted, you know, I was raised Catholic and I forget exactly which denomination she was in. If that sounds up your alley, if you feel like you are the target audience, or you're open to that direction of a perspective, this is great. Question number 7. What is your favorite new author, either new to you or a debut? Similarly to my favorite books of the year, we've got Sarah El Arifi, who wrote The Final Strife. This is like, that's another thing about The Final Strife. Actually, maybe was Golem and the Genie also a debut for that author? Final Strife was a debut. Fucking blew me out of the water, even if it wasn't a debut. So hats off to Sarah El Arifi. And then Helene Recker, who wrote The Golem and the Genie, is another one that I'm like, I really, really enjoy her writing style and the way she crafts atmosphere and the way she explores character relationships. So these are definitely two authors that I will be closely attuned to when they put out new works. Let's see. Question number 8. Newest fictional crush. I think Literature Science Alliance kind of did like a favorite romance couple version of this question, because like, I don't know, a crush on a fictional character is, I don't know, not something that really comes to mind for me. But in Golem and the Genie, I love Chava and Ahmed. I find them to be fascinating characters that I just want to like learn more about and watch them wrestle with the world, and also the way that they complement each other and the way that their relationship develops over the 2 books in that series, which is Golem and the Genie and The Hidden Palace. And it's the same answer for question number 9, newest favorite character. Yeah, I definitely love Chava in particular. She is the Golem. And then also from The Final Strife, I really grew to love the character of Anur, because even though she's like this spoiled brat at the beginning, like her eyes are open, and the way, like, she doesn't just, it's not that like she is completely ignorant and then does a 180 and is like an entirely different person now that she is aware. It's like, it's a gradual process, and some of it is given to her and some of it is work that she does herself to, like, once she starts realizing that things are not as they seem, like, she does the fucking work to become someone who is deserving of the leadership position that she is pursuing. And yeah, it was great. Like, I love many of the characters in the Final Strife, but Anur has like a particular soft spot for me. Question number 10. What's a book that made you cry? I haven't really read anything that was like, oh my god, all the feels, to the point where I was crying, but I did have some like very emotional moments in listening to the audiobook for Unmasking Autism, which is probably another runner-up for like favorite nonfiction so far. But just because I will talk about this more when I do my June wrap-up, but this is a fairly new release nonfiction that kind of explores like what is the criteria for autism. Like part of the challenge is it defines like, you know, autism has this broad spectrum of like symptoms and behaviors, and sometimes they can be contradictory. So for the purpose of consistency, it does kind of try to be like, you know, this is what's happening in terms of you know, processing when you're in a new environment, when you're problem solving, when you have stimuli, and this is like what's happening with your nervous system, and trying to like have a criteria of like what seems to be consistent, but then also exploring the variety that is the experience of autism, and in particular masking, which is you know, a neurodivergent person trying to act normal, trying to disguise certain behaviors, trying to disguise their discomfort, and it really explores like the origins of that. Hold on, I'm not supposed to be giving an entire review. I'm just like, why did it make me cry? I think it was like moments when it was talking about like when people don't know that they're autistic, or when people are like exhibiting ableism out of like pure ignorance, especially like towards neurodivergent children, and just like the alienation and loneliness and bewilderment, and just the lasting effects of like being punished or being humiliated for behavior that is maybe not quote normal, but like it's not dangerous, it's not harmful, it's not a fucking big deal, except that ableist society says you're not supposed to be like that. And I love that this book really challenges like, so what if someone flaps their hands? So what if someone like sits really weird? Like, so what? Like, if that, you know, calms their nervous system, if that helps them focus, like who the fuck cares? Like, why are we caring about that? To the point that we traumatize children and, you know, them as adults who kind of have to unlearn and realize like how deeply ingrained a lot of this masking is. And I think like that really hit home for me, because like I am on not to get too much into it, but I am on like a very slow mental health journey, but a lot of it is like recognizing like things from my past and the effect that they had on me. So I was like crying because it was just like, even if I'm not autistic, like ableism still causes people to treat the weird kid in really awful ways. And anyway, not trying to get too emotional about that, but it was like, holy shit, that's a feeling that I routinely have to squish really far down, and I feel so seen. Anyway, but that book's fantastic. It's narrated by the author. It's great. Question number 11. A book that made you happy. This is a recent read. This is Miss Meteor by Taylor K. Mejia and Anna Marie McElmore. I've been chatting about this a little bit in a reading vlog that I am still in the process of filming, so I won't get really far into it. But this gave me like Felix Ever After vibes. Like, I mean, it's not like as romance focused as like Felix Ever After. This small town can only tolerate so much weird, and like how these teenagers kind of learn to be their full selves, and like how much joy they experience once they commit to that. This was fantastic, and because I had such a great time with this, that is what inspired me to pick up Lake Lore. Because I have read, by Taylor K. Mejia, I have read her duology, We Set the Dark on Fire and We Unleash the Merciless Storm, which is another queer story that is a little bit more serious than this one, but like that one was also excellent. Absolutely an impulsive cover buy, because fucking look at it, it's amazing. Impulsive cover buy, and it was great. Alright, question number 12. What is your favorite book adaptation? And I think the question specifically says like film adaptation. I'm sure that could also be like miniseries, TV series. I'm also going to include stage adaptation because I work in theater. But also, I have not read anything this year that has a recent adaptation that I've seen. You know, it's like, yeah, I reread Anne of Green Gables. And I watched one of like the made-for-TV movies or whatever like years ago, but like not enough for me to comment on it. I haven't read a lot of things that like it's not like an adaptation gets announced and then I make a point to go read the books. It's like I just kind of read what I want. So I think the only thing that kind of fits this criteria is The Expanse, except I think I've only read books 1 and 2, so I can't really comment on whether these later seasons of the show are faithful adaptations of the books, but I am still enjoying the show, and I did enjoy the books, the ones I read when I read them. I do want to shout out another adaptation, but it's not book adaptation, it's like a podcast adaptation. I think this is on Amazon Prime. This is The Legend of Vox Machina, and this is an animated show that basically follows a group of D&D characters. Like, that's what the podcast is it's like some voice actors, and some like notable nerdy people with like special guest characters in each episode doing these dungeon crawl campaigns, and it was so popular that they actually adapted it into an animated show, and like the characters are hilarious and the adventures are solid, and it was a great time. So shouting that out. Let's see. Question number 13. What is your favorite video you have done so far this year? I had to go way back to January, and it's probably when I did my favorite fiction and my favorite nonfiction of 2021. Just because like I've been busy and I haven't really done much besides wrap-ups, hauls, unhauls, and like the occasional tag video. I haven't really done anything that was surprising yet. I don't know. We'll see. I've got a little bit of time this summer, so we'll see if I can do something that feels creatively fulfilling. But I think like those are my favorite videos because like maybe they get the most comments, or I guess like I think like those are the videos where I get the most interest of people being like, oh my god, I'm so excited because I enjoy your like nonfiction recs. I enjoy, you know, seeing it feels like validation for like my reviews and like my taste. That like somebody out there has found something valuable in what I have to say, and it feels good. So cool, thanks for that. If that's not what's happening, don't tell me. Okay, question number 14. What is the most beautiful book that you have bought or been gifted or otherwise acquired? I've got 3 contenders here. I think I purchased this year. It's been forever since I read it, but I finally found a hardcover copy of book 3 of the Abarat series, Abarat Absolute Midnight. I wanted a hardcover because the paperback doesn't have the illustrations on the inside, but also like lovely, lovely ocean on this. And then of course there's can we see it? All the artwork that is like I'm sure is super expensive to print, but like it's like that's a third of the storytelling. Like how could you print the paperback book without the illustrations? I think also like A Clash of Steel is a contender. Like the naked hardcover doesn't really have much going for it, but the end pages are lovely with this map. So there's that, and then there's also, I haven't read this yet, The Last Quintista, because of course, like, this cover is stunning. Like, that's what drew me to it, is I saw this on the shelf and I was like, what is that? Must read synopsis immediately. And then I think when I received this as a gift, I had no idea, but the naked hardcover, holy shit. Yeah, I need to read this soon. Do we got anything else? Do we got any maps or anything in here? I don't think so. But yeah, so that's what I got for that question. Question number 15. Books you need to read by the end of the year. I mean, all of them. But I'm going to focus on... I'm down to my last 5 books of my Amnesia Reads project, which is... excuse me for kicking my camera. It's a project where I make a list of, I don't know, 10 of like 12, 15, 20 books. I don't remember how much I put on there initially, of books that I know I've read. And I really don't remember anything about them. I don't know whether I want to keep them. I don't know. I don't remember what happens, or I don't remember enough of my feelings to know, like, do I want to hold on to this book? So I'm down to the last 5. So we've got the first book in the Dalemark Quartet, Cart and Quitter by Diana Wynne Jones. Under the Black Flag, The Romance and the Reality of Life Among the Pirates by David Cordingley. Georges by Alexander Dumas. The Grapes of Wrath by John Steinbeck. This one I'm curious about because I read East of Eden in school, and it was actually one of the books I read in school that I really, really enjoyed. So then I read this, and now I don't remember anything about it. And the last one is Global Human Smuggling, Comparative Perspectives, edited by David Kyle and Ray Kolowski. This is leftover from a class in school, and I do remember reading it and being like, oh, that's actually quite interesting and more readable than I thought. But the more I stare at this, the more I'm like, I don't know if I want to bother. Maybe I should do like a try a chapter. Yeah, so anyway, these are books I definitely want to at least do like a try a chapter by the end of the year to decide whether they're going to stay on a TBR for the year, or if I'm just going to unhaul them, pass them on, give them a chance at fame and fortune elsewhere. Alright, that's the video. Hey, look at me! I've got less than an hour of footage. This is gonna go great. Alright, if you have made it to the end of the video, can you leave me a star emoji? Probably also on brand for Miss Meteor a little bit. Great. Alright, so that's the video. Alright, I will have my other social media places. I will have my social media and other places where you can find me in the description box below, in addition to all of the questions for this tag and a link to the video from Literature Science Alliance. I hope you have a good rest of your day. I encourage you to go out into the world and be curious, and I will catch you folks in my next video. Bye!